Netlify office hours session. Today, I am joined by my teammate, Sean Roberts. Sean, thanks for being here.
Hey, excited to be here. Excited to talk.
So today, we're going to dig into Netlify MCP server, which we just launched yesterday. And I'm really excited to dig in and tinker with it, but I thought what could be really helpful at first would be to give just a quick background for folks who are maybe joining interested in MCP servers but haven't gone super deep, and why we've built one for Netlify.
Yeah, totally. So, as we look into providing a good agent experience, probably the most important way to do that today is to provide an MCP, which, for those who might not know, stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's just basically a server or an endpoint for which connected agents can go and ask questions and invoke tools. And the important part about it is, as we think about AX in general, the question isn't do you want to support MCP or support agents? The question is, do you want to support your end users who are using agents to interact with you? And the best way to do that is through MCP today. And yeah, we do want to support those users, and if they're deciding to use clients with MCP, that's how we're going to show up and support them.
Great, I love that, and this is one of those topics where I've done a lot of reading, but I feel like it really starts to really click when I actually see it in action. And so let's do that. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, and what I've done is pre-built us a little application to play with. It's a keyboard typing test, and using a few Netlify features already. Oh, there's my browser. There we go. Um, and I don't I have cursor open. I have the project open here, but I don't have anything else installed. So I figured you want to start with installing the MCP.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best first step is to go to our docs site, which has a link to all the different ways you can install the MCP. Cursor has this cool feature now that you can directly deep link into Cursor and automatically install it. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a add to Cursor button right there. Yep,
Oh, great.
and that should, if everything goes well, open and install this on Cursor.
All right, it is. Let's see. I'm not sure if I got any feedback. Should I check the cursor
So
settings?
go to Cursor settings and then MCP tools. It Given how brand new this is, yeah, it still says MCP. So your version of Cursor is not updated. But
Oh,
if you use the latest version, it will. I mean, this is like the last day or two old, I think. So
got it.
you get a pass.
Okay.
um,
All right. I'll take it. I'll take it.
so for this, we'll just do the standard setup. So let's see. The easiest way for Cursor, actually, let's go to the project itself,
Okay.
and
Yep.
if you're in that directory, go to add a file in your .cursor. The file would be in a .cursor directory. Add mcp.json.
All right.
Yeah, and then copy the config from the docs would be.
This
Yep,
one right here.
just that thing. Yep, that'll work. Copy it, throw it in there, save, and you see it. A new MCP server was detected. Netlify install or enable. Sorry.
Enable.
Cool.
Okay.
And now let's go to the cursor agent and let's see what's my Netlify user email. Just ask it that.
And there we go.
Let's see
We're
if
using it
it
already.
picked it up. Yep.
Oh,
Cool.
great.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sean Davis.
Now
So,
this is
so yeah. So
I
you're yeah. Good.
I'm going to just flag this ahead of time because I have two users that I flip back and forth from. And just to note, if we run into anything, that this user is different than the user that I have deployed this site to. So I don't know if we need to like unset or reset that or just kind of keep an eye on that.
Well, let's just. I think the easiest way would be to in your terminal you can just do log out because you're probably logged into your CLI locally with this user.
Okay.
There in the terminal. So sure. Yeah, I don't know. Does MPX work that way with our stuff? Okay, great, awesome.
It says it did. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. I haven't used NPX and Netlify CLI that way, so that's awesome. So now let's see if ask your um, ask cursor again what your Netlify user is. Okay, I didn't even call it MCP. It's agents have some sort of memory cache going on.
Gotcha.
So ask it to check with Netlify or something like that.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yep. All right. All right. And
Okay.
authorize. I'm
So
assuming that this is probably the right user.
this is the right user, and yeah, what I was going to ask you is, so is it handling this auth behind the scene, or is it using the CLI to do this stuff?
Under the hood, right now, this is using the CLI. Our MCP is interesting in that we need it to be able to do complex things like zipping files for deploys and all kinds of fancy stuff that's can be pretty complicated to get an agent to reliably do without us doing it. So because we need it to run locally for deploys, we just also lean into using our CLI auth, which is OAuth itself.
Okay.
And yeah, so that'll probably change as we support remote MCP, but for now, that's what we do.
Great. Okay, that makes sense. What should we do next?
All right, cool. So, well, let's confirm. Did it? Is that the right user? Let's see. The SC Davis.
That's
Your
the
personal
right.
email. Cool.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's
Perfect.
right.
Everyone
Everybody,
email
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Spam
Shanta.
me. And we'll see if my
Okay.
email spam filters are working. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Hit me up.
Okay. Awesome. So at this point, let's well, the site you have, you've already linked it, right? Can you pull it up on the browser? Let's. I haven't got to use the site yet, so we'll explore some
All
options with it.
right. So here's our site here, and
Okay.
then I'll open it, and it's just this little uh, typing test app. And the way it works today is that you can start the test. You got this 30-second timer that will count down, and actually we can start and show you what's going on. And then it will, when you're done, gives you the option to submit your score to be persisted, like some sort of leaderboard idea. And so it hits a Netlify function. I'll go over to the code real quick. So it hits this Netlify submit score function, so you can add your name. And then this function uses Netlify blobs to store that result. And then at the bottom here, we have, all right, so here we'll save this. And then the leaderboard, if it updates properly. Okay, so we have an issue with the leaderboard, but what we should see locally is then it would show the top 10 save scores pulling from
Very
the
cool.
blobs.
Very cool. Awesome. So I think the first thing I saw that it was like a weird cucumber URL. So like Netlify automatically
Yes.
generates URLs. So like the first thing we can do is let's have the MCP put a better name on it. So like whatever you want to name it, you could just ask using cursor to name it something else.
So name my Netlify, or let's say rename my Netlify site. Let's say maybe typing test. So let's make sure it's unique. Hopefully, no one has taken this one.
Yeah. Let's see how well it's.
Oh, let's see. Okay, it's confused.
Oh, it thought you meant.
It thought that was the current version. What to be the new name on Netlify?
Let's see.
Oh, I thought I
It
had.
needs the site ID. So is this good?
Yeah, I may have. I thought I linked it, but we can try again. Okay, it
Yeah,
looks like
it's
linked.
probably linked. It's yeah. The uh, I when I've used cursor and tools like this to do this, it doesn't understand when you ask it to do things. When you say the site or project, that it means the thing that you're currently working in. I know that that's odd, but like
Mm.
sometimes I'll ask you to do something and it kind of picks a random thing or doesn't realize that it's looking for user input or something like that. So something that I would do is I say my current open project is my site. Get my ID from the .netlify/state.json.
Information from. You said it's.
Dot, yeah,
Yeah.
.netlify state.json.
Dot.
Which parameter did it?
So it's saying an issue with the way that the renaming operation is being called. If you want to rename your,
Hmm.
and is this actually
Like
is
it
it
called it.
actually hitting the MCP server?
Click the. Is there information to click there on the invalid, like the warning?
Nope, nothing I can expand here.
Yeah, I don't see that it's actually calling it. So let's just can you confirm you want to rename? Say yes. I mean, I guess that's maybe it's just trying with only the site ID now. Let's see.
The system is not accepting the request format, but this is weird because it also doesn't seem like it's hitting the or using the MCP server.
It doesn't. So let's see the asking MCPs. Can you load um, can you load the site information from Netlify?
Interesting. I'm wondering if did I do something weird with this auth caching
No, no.
or logging in and out?
Probably not. This is like the weird thing with MCPs is like the agent really gets to determine what's happening, and given that they're non-deterministic, this is gonna happen. So go to the at the top of your terminal. It says Z shell. Change that. Click that,
Yep.
and or maybe sorry, no. There should be a way to look at
Oh yeah.
your outputs.
Yeah, there it is.
Let's see. Okay, so now go to, there should be one for MCP. Cursor
There we go.
MCP. Yep. All right, and clear that. There's a right to the right of that drop down. All right, and then let's ask it to do it again. Let's see what if it has any information there.
Load the site info from Netlify. Now we're really thinking. We got that same error. So it didn't. Yep, nothing over here in the output.
Yeah, it's not even showing it. So, all right. Well, then let's just ignore that for now, and let's see what we can do going forward. So, so what change do you actually want to make to the site?
Yeah, what I was thinking I would do.
You have any ideas there?
Yep, I think that. So I'll start up my dev server here, and what I was thinking we could do. Make sure we're running. Here we go. This is just showing, say, the top 10 scores. What I might do is, okay, well, we've already got all this information stored. Just to kind of test this a bit, we could add another section where the component hits a Netlify function and just lists out maybe, say, the history of submitted scores or something like that.
Okay. So what of that functionality do you already have?
So we have the scores in theory already stored in blobs. We could borrow some of that logic from these functions, but I think we could also just tell it to, reuse as much of the leaderboard component as you can in the get scores function or something like that to help it move pretty quickly.
Got it. So one thing else, like when in your cursor chat, can you go to and create a new chat? We'll see if that'll kind of clear some of the prior memory that might be holding on to. Cool. So for now, let's check one more time. What is the name of this site on Netlify?
Interesting that we still see these same issues here.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. Let's see, but it didn't even ask you to call the MCP, the tool.
No.
Okay, so all right. So where do you want to go in terms of like to make your? You can cancel that, by the way. I don't know what that's going to do. so what exactly are you going to do in terms of editing your function? How do you want, like, you can see if we can get cursor to do the bulk of it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I want to add a new component section below the leaderboard that is a list of all the submitted scores in reverse chronological order. Add a new API endpoint using a Netlify function. Maybe something like borrow as much from the current leaderboard component and the get scores function. All right, we're thinking. And now it's pulled up it's calling the MCP server. So that's something. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. one thing's for sure: if you want a demo to go bad, have an MCP be the core part of it, and they never perform when you want them to. Let's see.
So you've said that, and while this is generating that, we know it's non-deterministic, so we don't have a ton of control really. It's more in just kind of the art of prompting and all of that. Do you have any sense though, in this case, either why maybe Cursor decided to use the Netlify MCP server, or or why it would be useful in this particular case?
So, I mean, it comes down to how the agent sends both the MCP server information as well as the user input and the models that they're choosing, because ultimately they're using a tool call or some other algorithm to sort out what tools, if they should make an MCP tool call or not. And they also, within that set of context, they also often store memory about things in the past and include that.
Okay.
And it's not surprising that sometimes if they incorrectly store something or anything like that, they can run into an issue where they just fail to make the tool call or do it incorrectly. If possible, though, later on, once we do this function, I can also show um, how these things work on my end with Cursor running as expected.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me restart. Did read. Okay, so we don't have the history here because we're working locally and all that, and don't necessarily need to dig into that. But sure that it seems to have worked, and we could kind of tinker too.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, what I would say here is that we should try to get this thing. Is it doing the saves yet, or does that need to?
We can. I'll let this run and then add it if we want to. So we'll wait for the 20 seconds to pass. But
yeah,
what? So next you want to, once we verified that it is saving as we'd expect.
Yeah.
What's the next step you want to take?
Well, first, let's do one more troubleshooting of the Cursor side. Let's go back to Cursor, and looks like it's submitted.
It did.
Nice.
Yep.
Let's go back to Cursor. Let's go to your MCP JSON again.
Okay.
Let's empty that file out. So, delete everything in it. Yep, save it. All right, and create a new chat session with Cursor. All right, and let's go back and save, read that content. We'll pick up the MCP. So go add up the MCP JSON file and add it back.
Add that content back.
Does that make sense? Am I breaking? There we go. Yeah.
Right.
Or yeah.
All right.
Okay. So let's now let's see, can it get your Netlify user?
Aha. Hey, there we go. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Can you also grab the state.json, the site ID from there, and ask it what is the name of the site with this site ID?
Okay. Do you want me to pull up the ID or just say?
Yeah. Just copy and paste it in there. At this point, we're just troubleshooting Cursor, not the MCP.
Got it. Okay. The Netlify site with ID. We're back, and we're back to the same issue again.
I don't know. We'll have to debug what this version of Cursor is doing. I haven't. Do you know what version you're on? Out of curiosity.
Let's see here.
Maybe you might not get a pass here.
We're
What is it?
0.49.6.
Oh yeah, dude, you're that might be what we're running into. This might be the beta version of MCP support in Cursor. But either way, yes. You want me to kind of share my screen? I can kind of walk through a few examples.
Sure, let's try that. Let's try that. Stop sharing. Okay. All right. And do you have a share button on your end?
I do. Here we go. All right. Are you seeing my MCP JSON?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. So yeah, they released 1.0 today, so definitely a lot of cool functionality in there.
Great.
So all I've done was this basically the same thing. I have this experimental website stuff, similar sites. I can say, let's just ask it, right? What's my Netlify user email? Call tool. All right, it understands it. The current open project. What is the site name for it? There's no Netlify site name with this. Oh, I didn't ask that. That's the agent's like, oh, I'm gonna see if there's one with that name, which
Okay.
that's not the name anymore. So let's see if we can get this again. Is like the agent's kind of getting confused about what it wants to do. So use the site ID and look up the or let's say, when did I last deploy this site? Why are you still trying to look at that? So let's see. Using the site ID from the open project, get the site name from Netlify. So in this case, what we're doing is just like trying to get the agent back on track in terms of understanding that it needs to grab the information local to the site and then send it up on the API calls and matching the proper schema. And in this case, it looks like it might actually be doing so. So it did find the site ID and it found out that it's experimental web. Okay, cool. So now Cursor understands what my site ID is, or my site itself is. I don't know why it took Cursor a while to figure that stuff out, but now we can start doing things with it. So let's just have it, let's deploy this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll create a new site called Hello MCP Demo and deploy my open project to that new site. So it's actually, many actions that it's going to take. It's going to have to create a new site, establish that, and deploy a new site, and then give us all of that information back. Right, we'll let it do its thing here. All right, so Now it's doing deploy operations. And this one, often takes a little bit of time because it's grabbing all the files, it's uploading them, and on my um, poor Wi-Fi, it's going to
Yeah.
probably upload a little bit slower.
So in this case, is it going to use our deploy endpoint where it will send the source files to run the build on Netlify, or is it going to run the build locally and then send the files up?
It's going to do everything that like your GitHub integration would. It's going to zip up all the files, send them to our build system, and run everything from there. Um, and so it's not local; it's all running on Netlify system. So that means, because you're leveraging things like environment variables and secrets and stuff like that, it runs in a secure environment that your whole team has access to.
Yeah, and
It's
then
still,
because of that, any user on your team that like everyone can use their own ID or whatever and get the same results then, because we're relying on the platform at that point.
yeah, precisely. Yep, yep. And so this did create my new site, and I can go to, let's see, MCP demo. Yeah, this is going to be a pure reality of my slow connection here, but like
Mm-hmm.
this is doing a deploy of this site. And for time, I think that I'll probably just stop it. And we know that that deploy would exist. And if I don't have, I'm sharing cursor here, so if we go to that URL, it would be there.
Mm-hmm.
I can also do interactions such as, let's set a new environment variable. Let's call it Sean test um, with value of MCP. All right, and now this is going to which cursor should be identifying that it should call the MCP agent
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or MCP server rather. Slowly but surely, it's my cursor doesn't want to play today.
Yeah, yeah. But also I think picking that day of the 1.0 release to do our demo here. The demo gods are not on
Yeah.
our side today. Um, but we
So
can see. I
it
mean,
finally came back.
oh, you go ahead.
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay, I see it.
I was gonna say it came back and it set the environment variable now. So now I can ask it what environment variables do I have for this site? I think if anything, this has been a great breakdown of how to debug cursor with MCPs.
that is absolutely correct. Yes, yes.
So this new site that we created, this is the only environment variable that we have there. So now we can start. This is going to be available at runtime and such as well. So we can do things such as
Mm-hmm.
storing secret keys. Um, and for example, if I stored this as a secret, it would only be accessible within Netlify and things like that. And so we really have the kind of full breadth of the Netlify platform to start working with, and MCP exposes pretty much all of it for now, and we're adding a lot more to it in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and with what we have today, I mean, what do you feel like are going to be some of the more common or useful cases? You think it's going to be mostly around the things that we've done, like deploying and managing environment variables, or do you see other immediate benefits and uses of it?
So I think it really comes down to the use case of the site, right? For many people who are building, let's say, things like internal tools, the ability to spin up a site, um, create, Netlify correct, files and things like that, and making sure that the editor is doing things right is going to be super important. As well as, just from within your editor or tool, you can say, you know, protect this site using Team SSO or password protection and locking it down. I think that that workflow of iterate, ship, protect, monitor, things like that is going to be really important. But the platform itself has access to other capabilities such as releasing today is the Netlify DB stuff, right, and the ability to interact with
Hmm.
that is going to be really interesting. The forms for Netlify supports people or developers creating forms and automatically submitting forms to your backend, and the MCP today can be if you're using that, let's say for um, I run a site, for example, and I use forms for the contact form or the sign up form for like a newsletter type of thing, and now I can pretty easily say, hey Netlify, or hey Cursor, can you go get all of the uh, email submissions from that form, create a CSV file, and then send that CSV file somewhere else, or do something with it. Send it to my email client, for example, and it just does all that stuff. It can extract that live form data, and so I think that that's really interesting. And then finally, I think while there are like what we've looked at are these kind of synchronous editor type of MCP tools.
Hmm.
And so this will support not just Cursor, but Windsurf and Klein and Copilot and so forth. And but there's also these kind of asynchronous tools that can still support MCPs, but they can work in the background and do work for you. And I think that that's another interesting set of workflows that we'll see people using MCPs with.
I love that. I think there's just there's so much potential there. Um, and while you were doing a little bit of demo, I'm figuring out how to get Cursor to actually auto update itself, and so I'm excited to keep digging in. But Sean, appreciate your time today, and definitely going to have you back on, especially as you say, like we're actively working on this. We're continuing to release new functionality all the time. So we're going to find an excuse here in the next couple of weeks where, as we release new functionality, we'll get you back on.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks, Sean. And thank you to everybody out there as well. We will be back for another office hours session tomorrow. Stay in touch, and we will share the time and the topic as we reveal more later today. All right. Till next time. We'll see y'all.